Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Hamas health officials say at least 110 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes in Jabalia in northern Gaza. There's been no specific comment from Israel, which insists it is targeting what it calls terrorist infrastructure. Jabalia, part of which is a long-standing refugee camp, is in the north of Gaza, an area where, since the early days of the war, Israel has warned people to leave. US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin met Israeli officials earlier as the UK, France and Germany step up global calls for a ceasefire.
The current situation at Al-Shifa Hospital, we're in the emergency department, which is completely packed with patients, as you can see. There are only 5 ambulances working in northern Gaza right now, and patients are self-presenting on donkey carts, on stretchers, being walked down the road. It's incredibly crowded. There are very few staff. Hundreds of patients awaiting surgery. It's just an unbelievable situation. This is a hospital in need of resuscitation.
Officials say a huge explosion at the main oil terminal in Guinea's capital, Conakry, has killed at least 8 people and wounded dozens more. Eyewitnesses said the explosion blew out the windows of nearby houses in downtown Conakry, and hundreds of residents fled the area. The explosion was caused by a fire, but it is unclear what started the blaze. Media reports of the number of people injured vary from 84 to 100. The authorities have ordered schools in the city to close and urged workers to stay at home. Police in Mexico say 12 people have been killed and another 11 injured when gunmen stormed a venue at which a group of young people had gathered for a pre-Christmas religious celebration. The attack happened in Salvatierra, a town in central Guanajuato state. The local mayor said that the victims had no links to any crime groups. While deadly shootouts are not unusual in this region, they normally occur when rival gangs target each other. Local media reported that a group of around 40 mainly young people had gathered on Saturday evening at a former ranch turned into a venue for hire. Pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai has gone on trial in Hong Kong on charges of breaching national security and colluding with foreign forces. Mr. Lai denies all the charges. Jailed since December 2020, he faces life in prison if found guilty. The self-made millionaire was arrested under a security law which China is accused of using to crush dissent. His case has caused an international outcry and is widely seen as a test of Hong Kong's judicial independence. The landmark trial, delayed for a year, is expected to last for about 80 days. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić has claimed victory in snap parliament elections, saying his party is headed for an absolute majority. His Serbian Progressive Party, or SNS, is set to win almost 47% of the vote, according to projections. Opposition parties under the Serbia Against Violence banner were well behind, with about 23%, but they claimed electoral fraud favouring the government and called for a recount. Initial results projected the SNS had won more than half of the 250 seats in the National Assembly. Oil giant BP has announced it is pausing all shipments of oil through the Red Sea after recent attacks on vessels by Houthi rebels. It made the decision because of the deteriorating security situation, though said it was a temporary move. A number of freight companies have also suspended their ships after being targeted by Houthis in Yemen. On Monday, one of the world's largest shipping firms said it would no longer carry Israeli cargo via the Red Sea. And Secret Service agents quickly ushered US President Joe Biden to safety after a vehicle crashed into a parked SUV that was part of his motorcade.
Mr. President, why are you losing to Trump in the polls?
The president and his wife Jill Biden were leaving his campaign headquarters after a meal with members of his re-election team. The Wilmington Police Department said it was investigating the collision, which did not result in any injuries. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.